After that, we can list out the schemes or the steps to energize various sections of society. Like for youth, the budget announced innovation fund for secondary education. Then focus will be on 3,479 educationally backward blocks. Colleges will be identified based on accreditation. A Skill India mission was launched to maximize potential. It has again been given thrust in this budget also. And 100 India international centers across the country have to be established. Courses on foreign languages will be introduced, and the government will take a step to create 5,000 PG seats per annum. All these things have been devised to help the youth, and further various steps have been announced for the poor and the underprivileged, like rupees 500 crore allocated for Mahila Shakti Kendras. Then for pregnant women, 6,000 will be paid to them. A sum of rupees 1,84,000 crore have been allocated for women and children. Affordable housing will be given infrastructure status so that it can take benefit of the various schemes. Similarly, many other steps were announced in the budget relating to the development of youth and for the benefit of underprivileged persons. Similarly, to clean India from the evils of corruptions and black money, various steps were announced in the budget. Like for the funding of political parties, it was announced that the maximum amount of cash donation for a political party will be rupees 2,000 from any one source. Secondly, Income Tax Act has to be amended to ensure that no transaction above rupees 3 lakh is permitted in cash. Similarly, people filing IT returns for the first time will not come under any government scrutiny, and for big time offences, including economic offenders fleeing India like Vijay Mallya, the government will introduce legislative changes or introduce law to confiscate the assets of these people within the country. These all the steps will go a long way in eradicating the evils of corruption and black money in the economy. If we try to understand the motivation of this question, we can very easily say that it has been directly taken from the budget speech of the finance minister, that is the budget 2017-18, and what sources a candidate should have focused on to answer this question. Very easy. Any newspaper, especially the Hindu newspaper or the Press Information Bureau articles. Now have a look at this question. It says, what are the salient features of inclusive growth? Has India been experiencing such a growth process? Analyze and suggest measures for inclusive growth. It carries 15 marks and it has to be answered in 250 words. The demand for the question is related to the inclusive growth, and there are three parts to this question. First, what are the salient features of inclusive growth? Second, the status of inclusive growth process in India. And third, measures needed for inclusive growth. And the tail words attached is analyzed in the third part and suggest that also in the third part of the question. So, if we start planning for the answer, in introduction, we have to explain the meaning of inclusive growth, and in the body of the answer, we have to deal one by one all the three parts of the question, and in conclusion, we have to say whether inclusive growth is happening in India with example of any positive development. So, at the outset, we will explain the meaning of inclusive growth by explaining that the economic growth should accrue to all the sections of society, that is, it should benefit all the sections of society. And it also focuses on equity of health, human capital, environmental quality, social protection, and food security. And in the body, first of all, we will describe the salient features of inclusive growth. First is that inclusive growth focuses on economic growth because inclusive growth cannot take place without the economic growth. Secondly, inclusive growth adopts a long-term perspective because the benefits have to be broad-based across various sectors, and so that structural transformation have to take place. And these kind of transformations can take place only in the long run. Third feature is that inclusive growth focuses on both the pace and the pattern of growth. By that it is meant that not only an economy should grow at the rate of 8% or 10%, but the pattern of growth should be such that the benefits of economic growth percolates to those sections of society which are at the bottom strata, so that it reduces the poverty and it increases the income level of the vulnerable sections or the weaker sections of the society. That is, inclusive growth totally rejects a situation where rich are becoming richer and poor are becoming poorer. Rather, it focuses on just the opposite, that the poorer should start becoming richer and richer should not become poorer, but they should not become rich by some taking advantage of some loopholes. Next feature is that inclusive growth focuses on productive employment rather than income redistribution. That is, if one-sided redistribution of income is done by the government, that growth is not going to be sustainable. For a sustainable and inclusive growth, the government should be in a position to provide productive employment to the people so that they work, they get income, and they further invest that or they move up in the income level. Next is that inclusive growth places individual as a subject of analysis. First of all, it looks at the economic growth of the country, then it reaches to the individual level and analyzes whether that economic growth of the country as a whole has benefited the individual or not. Next salient feature is that it includes providing equality of opportunity, that is, empowering people through education and skill development. And last salient feature is that it may take form as social, political, and economic inclusion. Now, moving on to the second part of the question, that is the status of inclusive growth process in India. For that, we can give certain data like poverty rate prevailing in India, and we can say that the presently poverty rate is around 21%. Earlier in 2009-10 it was around 38%. Similarly, we can give data regarding the Human Development Index, in which India has been ranked 131 out of 188 countries with a score of 0.624, which puts India in medium human development category. But if we look at the level of India right now and compare it with the level of India in 1990, when the score was 0.428, we can see that there is marked improvement in this sector. Similarly, literacy rate has grown over the years and it has reached around 74% as per the 2011 census, although there is wide gender disparity in literacy rate in India. Similarly, growth rate in India has been around 7% on an average in last 10 20 years, which is marked improvement over the Hindu rate of growth in 1980s when the economic growth hardly reached over 4%. Similarly, India's per capita income has grown over the years. Moreover, the inequality status of India is quite reasonable and income inequality in India is relatively small as measured by Gini coefficient. If we look at gender equality, India fell 21 places on World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Index to 108, and India lost mainly because of lower participation of women in the economy and low wages. Similarly, we can give data regarding the financial inclusion that only 20% of India's population had any kind of insurance in 2015 and only 11% had any kind of pension scheme. Therefore, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana and other Pradhan Mantri Suraksha Bima Yojana were started to improve on this financial inclusion status. Similarly, we can give data regarding the unemployment in India, which again is going down. So, we can see some marked improvement. Similarly, data regarding regional disparity, healthcare, inclusion, and status of vulnerable sections like children, senior citizens, physically handicapped, SC and ST can be given to prove our point that India is moving towards inclusive growth. Now, moving on to the third part of the question, we can list certain measures which are needed for inclusive growth. First of all, we can say that there has been economic growth and at the same time there has been some inclusive growth, but a truly inclusive growth is still a far dream for India, and if you want to achieve inclusive growth, certain steps have to be taken like increased public expenditure on education and health, poverty eradication by jobs creation, improving the agricultural productivity and labor reforms so that productive employment can be given in agriculture sector, improvement in basic services and infrastructure for faster growth, and attitudinal change is needed to bring about a real inclusive growth, especially in terms of the caste discrimination and stratification of the society. Then effective government intervention at all levels are crucial to minimize the leakage resulting from sloppy implementation and bureaucratic corruption, lowering barriers to trade and investment for better economic growth, financial inclusion steps, all these things can be highlighted. Again, tail word in this question is not a big problem as it has already been dealt in the main body. And in the conclusion, we can say that the success of various national development programs like Skill India, Digital India, Make in India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Jan Dhan Yojana, all these programs, and you can list out many other programs, will be crucial for achieving inclusive growth in India. And what was the motivation for the framing of this question? There were two motivations. First, one report was published by OECD on 28th April 2017 titled Promoting a Strong and Inclusive Growth in India. It highlighted certain shortcomings in the field of inclusive growth which it noticed in India. Similarly, WEF also published a report, Inclusive Growth and Development Report 2017, in February 2017, and India was ranked 60th among 79 developing economies, and it was ranked below China and Pakistan in Inclusive Development Index. So it was a big news, it was surprising to the people, and therefore the question paper setter thought it appropriate to put up this question in UPSC mains examination. And how a candidate should have prepared to answer this question? He could have read any newspapers, specifically this Indian Express carried this news article regarding India's 60th in the Inclusive Development Index, and below China and Pakistan. In the end, to summarize, I would say that we have given a basic outline of answering these questions, and in certain questions we have given the model answer in more words than required, because here to explain the things the liberty has been taken to explain the each and every sentence, but while answering the question in an examination hall, the candidate has to write in brief, and therefore he will be in a position to write these answers in the or within the prescribed limit. In the next part of this lecture series, we will look at 5 other questions asked in UPSC mains examination.